Swinburne University of Technology.
Welcome to the PhD Hub. I'm Dr. Josie Arnold, Professor of Writing. Today I have with me Sue Green. Sue is a very well experienced and published journalist. She's a lecturer here now in journalism, and she's beginning her PhD. So I'm going to talk with her today about the trials, perils and happinesses of starting out on your PhD. So Sue, what got you going?
Well, to be honest, Josie, I started because I had to. I was offered the opportunity to be a lecturer, and that would require doing a PhD because I didn't have one. So I started out with the attitude that this was something I was going to do of necessity. But I soon became very enthusiastic about it, and now I'm really keen and not just doing it because I have to.
And so I'm putting the words into your mouth a bit, but I think this was a bit because you found the model that you wanted to follow of the PhD, is that right?
Yes, it is. The artefact and exegesis model, I think, suits me well as a journalist rather than doing a thesis. But the other thing was that I found a topic which I'm enthusiastic about and feel that I can live with for a number of years. I think, personally speaking, that's crucial. I can see how you could become jaded with your topic, and I think that to keep you going, you need to have something that you can follow through.
Now, did your topic come to you in a flash of inspiration, or how did it come to you?
No, it didn't come to me in a flash of inspiration. It's something that I've been interested in for a long time. It's a gap in publishing that I had already identified. It's something that I had thought about doing previously, but within my pre-existing work commitments, it didn't really have any scope to consider.
Now, this is a fascinating topic, and one in which I'm very interested too, because I'm interested in women's creative work and women's work as being creative and not just put in a basket as what women should do. And your topic is?
So my topic is a social history of hand knitting in Australia, which I'm doing by artefact and exegesis. So it will be a book, that'll be the artefact, for which I'll later seek a publisher and which I believe there would be a readership for, plus the exegesis, which will give it the theoretical structure.
And you are aware, of course, that in the course of candidacy you can publish your work. So you don't have to wait till you have, I'm sure you will have a PhD, you can publish the artefact and parts of the exegesis or whatever in the course of your candidacy.
Yes, and I've already got a couple of ideas for spin-off topics that might make something I could publish.
That's really terrific. Now, having said that, you then had to come to the university, and what did you have to do next?
Well, the first thing I had to do was find supervisors. So I was lucky that I had been a sessional at Swinburne for 5 years. So I had colleagues in the journalism department and contacts who could recommend people to me. So that was the route that I went. I wasn't coming to it cold. And so I have been lucky that I've been able to obtain, well, you as my principal supervisor and 2 other supervisors who are from different areas of the department, so that it's kind of a cross-school approach.
So you've got someone, myself, from writing, and
yes,
you've got someone from design and
yes,
someone from journalism.
That's right.
And that combination should be a very rich supervisory combination to help you with all of the elements of your PhD. Okay, so you found your supervisors?
Yes.
Then?
Well, once I had been successful with my application for the lecturing position, that meant it was all systems go to put my application in. But writing the application was a big job and quite a daunting one for me. As a mature age student, it was a long time since I had done scholarly research, and I felt very rusty. I wasn't really even sure what an exegesis was when I started out. And so you and my other supervisor, Dr. Nanette Carter, have been very helpful in giving me some pointers on that, and then looking at my initial draft and making a number of suggestions.
And the elements of this draft that we suggested were quite clear, weren't they? Would you like to comment on the sections?
For the exegesis?
Just for presentation to the research committee. You had the section on the artefact.
Yes, and a separate section on the exegesis. And you introduced me to Google Scholar, which wasn't something that even existed when I did my first degrees, which is fantastic. And so I started to do some initial research to form an initial reading list, and I did a separate one for the section of the application about the artefact and for the section about the exegesis. Started to print off and accumulate material, and as I went through that process, other lines of inquiry suggested themselves to me, and so I was able to divide up those application summaries into some separate topics.
And this is what the research committee wants. They want a really clear indication that you have this capacity to understand what you're going to do and to convey it to someone else. So we're probably talking about, what, 600 words on each, or 1,000 words on each section, do you remember? And a number of references on each section.
Yes, probably 800 to 1,000 words on each. It began, you initially said to me 600, that was what I began with, but it wasn't very comprehensive, and it grew as I developed it.
And what was the purpose of this in your mind?
Well, the initial purpose of it was to satisfy the requirements of the research committee so that I could get approval to pursue the PhD topic. But that purpose evolved, and it also became extremely useful to me in knowing how to approach it. Because when I first started thinking about it, it seemed overwhelming. As a part-time PhD student, you get up to 6 years. To think about a very big topic over such a long time frame, you start to think, where will I start? How will I find my way into this? So it was very helpful with that process. And I'm in the process of drawing up a timeline, and I feel as though I have an idea of what I need to do in the years to come to achieve my goal.
And I suggested to you that that timeline would be, I would like to submit at this time, so what do I have to do that? Is that the kind of thinking that you went into that timeline construction with?
Yes, it was.
And that was useful?
Yes, it was, definitely. I haven't finished that yet. Got some more questions for you actually in doing that. But yes, I mean the actual application, which was, a process I was required to go through, turned out to have all these spin-off benefits for me in beginning work on the PhD.
And really it began to give you a pattern or a model or a shape to follow, didn't it?
It did. And also it began to give me some research techniques which I was lacking, because even before I got permission to undertake the PhD, I had to start researching and referencing and getting help from the people in the library as to how to proceed with some of the technicalities. And
understanding the scholarly aspects of the journey of both elements and how they talk to one another?
Yes, which was something I didn't really understand at all at first. To me, the exegesis was just kind of some thing that I would need to knock off at the end once my book was complete. But I realise now that it's not like that at all.
No, the two are very complementary, and you've already indicated that myself and your other supervisors have helped you, but what help generally have you received for this, and what help do you think you could have got that might have been more helpful?
Actually, I feel that I feel very pleased with the help that I've got. I don't feel that there are any gaps in it. I mean, I do feel that it is important that the university is geared up to mature age students such as me, or other students who may, for whatever reason, be a bit lacking in their knowledge of research skills, use of the technology, all that kind of thing. I mean, the first time, when I did my first undergraduate degree, there were no computers, which is impossible for some students today to even imagine. The second time, it was a matter of CD-ROMs and going to the stacks, but now everything is electronic, and I've needed support with that, and I will need continuing support with that. And that has been available to me, excellent support, but I've had to actively seek it out. I think it would be good if it was well known to students that those resources were there.
You're thinking in particular of the library support person?
Yes, I am.
But also, of course, you'd expect your supervisors to be supportive.
Yes.
And also, of course, are you aware that the university research has training courses for PhD students?
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I
see,
have
that's
enrolled for an
important, isn't
EndNote
it?
workshop,
Yeah.
but training courses, no, I'm not familiar with those.
So students might ask their supervisor or look on the research website to see what training seminars, etc., are available through our excellent research centre, which runs quite a number of them.
Okay, that's good to know. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you found difficult? I know you had to get a lot of paperwork together.
The paperwork was a bit daunting, but I managed to work my way through it. I'm currently doing my Ethics Committee approval application. That is fairly daunting too, and I'm going to get you to look over that and check that I'm going in the right direction with it. There are a few questions I'm not clear on how to answer, and again, I'm sure that's something that people's supervisors will help them with.
Now, I know you're not looking for scholarship because you are a lecturer here, but for students looking for scholarship, there's particular times and places in which to do that, and that's through the research website as well.
Right.
So going to that research website on the Swinburne front page is really important for you and for all of our ongoing PhD students.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you found challenging or interesting?
I think really, as someone coming to this so new in many ways, the main piece of advice I would give anyone is find a topic that you're really interested and really passionate about, because you have to live with it for so long. I could probably have found topics that were more media related. Some people have laughed at my topic.
Although it's a journalism topic, isn't it?
It is a journalism topic, but people think doing a PhD on hand knitting is fluffy and strange.
Yeah.
I've got a thick skin, so I'm not really bothered, but I think for me it's something that I feel confident that I can carry through. I wouldn't have wanted to start off with a topic that I thought was worthy but maybe a bit dull.
And I've recommended you to start looking at a theory like feminist standpoint theory, and you found that quite interesting, I think.
I found it very interesting, and also the whole ethnographic aspect of the writing, because for me as a knitter and a feminist, that, you know, I do have a strong personal investment in this topic, which will of course colour how I proceed, and to look at that in a more theoretical way is very interesting to me, and I've been able to see parallels with journalism in that, and the role of the journalist as observer or not.
We've talked a little bit about the timeline, but the time that you have, you're a full-time lecturer here now, you have a life. Now, how are you thinking you'll manage to corral time for yourself to do your PhD?
Well, I will get some time during the week.
As part of your employment?
Office, as
yes.
part of my employment.
But that doesn't mean you've corralled it, does it?
No, it doesn't. That's a bit of a work in progress, because
Yes.
so many things are uncertain. I don't even know where my office will be, with whom I'll be sharing. I can imagine that I'll be doing some on the weekends, and either in the mornings or in the evenings. I think probably there's a challenge not to let it take over your life, especially if you're enrolled part-time and want to finish it sooner. So,
And which we recommend, as we've discussed, because it's very easy for it to go on and to get tiresome for you and tired of it. But I think you're going to do a terrific PhD, and don't let people rubbish women's work and women's journalism. I mean,
quite right.
you know, it's a very important topic. Now, you've spoken very strongly as returning to study,
Yes.
and I think that's true for a lot of PhD candidates. Many of them don't come through the traditional undergraduate honours PhD program. Is there anything further you would like to say about returning to study in this way, or do you think you've covered it?
I would just like to say that I think it's a very exciting and challenging thing to have the opportunity to do. I feel as though in my work I've been treading water for quite some time, and I think it's very easy for us to fall into that trap and just tread water until we retire.
And do what you can do rather than what you might do.
Exactly, and already I feel that this is an exciting mental challenge. I mean, it'll be keeping Alzheimer's at bay. But, you know, I'm not the kind of person, I've always had workaholic tendencies. I'm not about to pack up and play lawn bowls and go on seniors outings.
Me neither.
And to have this opportunity at my time of life, I'm coming up to 61. I mean, that feels young to me. I feel as though I'm embarking on a great new adventure, and I wouldn't want people to let age put them off.
Excellent. And one other thing that I think I'd like to return to is the question of ethics. Many people think that ethics is only if you're going to collect human blood or whatever, but the Australian recommendation regarding ethics has very strong recommendations, or really rules, regarding qualitative methodologies, qualitative collection, case studies, interviews, and that these very much are involved in the kind of work that you're doing, where you're going to go and interview people. So interviews are an ethical question. The ethical statement is there to protect you and to protect the person being interviewed, and also to protect the university. So it's taken very seriously by the university, and you're just embarking upon that now. It's quite complex, isn't it?
It is complex, and it's been quite interesting to me because I actually teach practical and professional ethics to first-year journalists, which is a course that gives them the opportunity to think about and discuss things which, in the normal course of your work as a journalist, you make snap decisions on every day, but don't have that luxury of pondering and looking for theoretical backup and so on. So some of the questions on the form have given me cause for pause, because they involve aspects of interviewing that I had never really thought about in any depth, I guess. You just do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And both of the applications that you're making, the application for the PhD and the application for ethics, are part of what you must do as a preliminary to getting your PhD going. So it's not only finding a question, it's not only doing some research, it's actually doing what the university is asking you to do, isn't it?
It is, and because it's quite a complicated process, and one that does require some effort and research on your part, I think when I've got my approvals, I'll feel as though I'm actually into my PhD. It's not like filling in a few forms, sitting back, waiting to see what happens and think, okay, I can start now. You've actually already started.
And that's right. And those applications are not just going out there to someone, a nameless person. They go to the research committee, they go to the ethics committee. They're considered by a group of academics who look at the potentials for the PhD, who look at the ethical questions, two different committees. So it can take quite a little time for that all to come through. So very good luck with that.
Thank you.
So that Sue, and I've been speaking with her, of course, about starting out as a returning to study senior person doing her PhD, an exciting journey for both of us. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Josie.
This has been a Swinburne production.